Schmooze, where each week we discuss a novel that has piqued our interest. This week we are discussing the super gruesome Tender is the Flesh by, I'm going to botch this last name,
Yeah.
Augustina Bazterrica? You know what? We'll go with that. So
Yeah.
sorry. The synopsis is, well, a description of the book is Tender as the Flesh portrays a society in which a virus has contaminated all animal meat. Because of the lack of animal flesh, cannibalism becomes legal. Marcos, a human meat supplier, is conflicted by this new society and tortured by his own personal losses. So trigger warning, literally everything. There's
Literally everything.
cannibalism, violence, SA, like all of it. It's all in here.
Oh, hurting animals too. Hurting animals is
Animal
also in
abuse,
here.
yeah.
Animal abuse.
It's all pretty gruesome. I know that this book, because I heard, you heard about it on TikTok as well, correct? Was
Yeah,
this
that's where
a
I found it.
book talk find? Yeah. And everybody was mostly just talking about how they're like, man, if you want to read something very violent and gross, this is your book. And it is. I think it's, it's very gruesome. It's a dystopian horror, but I feel like it was pretty thought provoking at the same time. I didn't think that it wasn't just blood and gore and
Oh, yeah. No, I agree
crazy,
with that.
far fetched
Yeah.
shit. There's a lot. I feel like the author had intent with this book, and I think that
hmm
they successfully achieved that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So what are some of your big points if you want to start?
So I want to start with just like the beginning, just to get them all in this. So, yes, there was a disease that made all of the animals inedible. So they killed all of the animals. They were burning cats and dogs on the streets. And they called this the transition.
Mm-hmm.
And they use to justify them eating people, and they use terminology that you use for farming,
Yeah.
like they artificially inseminate the females. It's and they go as far as to, oh god, it's just, I don't know where to start with this. It's just, it was truly, it was jarring
It is
how
jarring.
how um I'm at a loss for words, actually. I always
Um,
have with this book. Help me
that's
out.
okay. I found a kind of a snippet that does a good job of kind of like breaking it down because it is really jarring when you start reading it. Like
hmm
I wouldn't say that the dystopian genre, like dystopian horror, is like my top pick. Typically not, because it does put me in a funk.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy them because I feel like there's always something to take away.
hmm
It kind of reminded me of The Road by Cormac McCarthy, although not at like The Road is not nearly as gruesome. I like how vague it is. Not really discussing the same things, but it just, I don't know why it reminded me of that, but it just kind of did. But anyway, the novel starts by describing the process of slaughtering humans, who are referred to as head.
Yeah.
The world has fallen into chaos after the transition, as you were saying, the term describing an event where a virus that infected animals was found to be deadly to humans, resulting in the mass slaughter and burning of animals, with the world's population forced either to go vegan or to eat each other. Soon, cannibalism was institutionalized, industrialized, and normalized, with humans bred for consumption, known as special meat. Scavengers who cannot afford the special meat consume any dead body available. And then our main character is Marcos, who works at one of these slaughterhouses to help pay for his father. His father's in a care facility for having dementia. And so you meet Marcus, and that's who you're following around with the novel. And at first I was like, oh, he seems like relatively normal.
Yeah.
And, he hates the whole idea. He doesn't eat meat.
Yeah.
He does not
Mm-hmm.
eat it. He's vegan.
Mm-hmm.
He will not eat it, but he works at the slaughterhouse. And I think that, so I saw, because I was like, man, I was just a little curious as to if there was any like propaganda or weird articles with this book, because I was like, this book has an intent, and we'll get to that, but I wanted to see kind of like what some news articles were saying about it. And of course I
Mm-hmm.
find one by The Guardian, which I hate.
Oh
And
God.
it's
Okay.
like, it's like, man, tender as the flesh is vegan propaganda. Um, it's not, but I think it really drives home the point when we think about mass producing animals and how we eat
Yes.
them in an excessive manner. I am
Yes.
all like, I will be the first one to tell you, like, I tried being vegan. It's a no-go. It works for some people. It obviously cannot work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I have no issue. Like, humans are omnivores. We eat meat. It's fine. The problem is the excessive amount. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of that book really got me thinking on that,
Yeah.
we eat it in such excess, and the mass production of animals, um, this really drove it home when you try to think about it in the terms of its humans.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. There was a one page that I found. I have to. There is a part where they are walking this German man through the facility, like
Mm-hmm.
giving him a tour, and they walk him past uh where they keep all of the people. Well, so they keep the people separate so they don't fight or whatever. Um, and he was just so open to it. He was so normal about it. The way
Mm-hmm.
it's so weird.
Is that
So
the
weird.
guy that gifted him?
No, that was El Gringo.
Oh,
El
that's right.
Gringo gifted him. Yeah.
So true.
Um, so true. Um, and it is just sick and twisted. Um,
Oh my
just the
god.
way that they describe, like, okay, oh, so FGP is like, okay, so FGP means first generation pure, and that's like born and bred in the facility, highest
Mm-hmm.
quality meat you can find. I want to say it was like chapter 5 or 6, perhaps 4. He was gifted an FGP woman. No one told him. They just kind of dropped off this woman at his house, and he didn't know what to do with her. He was very standoffish because he doesn't. What's he gonna do with that? What's he gonna do with her? He doesn't support it. Obviously, he still has trouble using like the correct terminology.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you use humanizing descriptors, they're like, you can't do that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But he ends up like he ends up growing feelings for this woman that they dropped off at his house for the purpose of being eaten, and he names her Jasmine.
I think it's important to mention the a little bit of the backstory of Marcus, that you find out that he and his wife are separated,
Yes.
and they lost their child. So they had a baby, and the baby died. Um, so they're both grieving, and I think he's putting all of those feelings, and they're a little misplaced. And so yeah, he does develop feelings for um, Jasmine, which is the quote unquote head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is, yeah. Um, I, it just, I really, no, I really, as much as I hated, like, the description of the slaughterhouse,
Hmm.
I really thought it drove the point home. Like, it was just brutal, and everybody was just normalizing it. And I
Hmm.
hate to say it, the entire time I was reading this book, especially given the past few years, I would not be surprised. Like, I was reading this and I just like wasn't shocked. I was like, yeah, sure, people would
Yeah.
probably justify this. And I hate to say
Yeah.
that. I would like
Yeah.
to have like a little bit more faith in humanity. I do not.
Hmm.
And a good like quote for the description of this book, which I kind of thought, I really liked this. Daniel Krauss from the New York Times says, described the novel as powerful in displaying the monstrosities and desires of the hierarchical structure of capitalism. And it does that. And notice how, like, the people that, and they are people, those that get bred to be, like, the livestock, essentially, that started with poor people and, like,
Yes.
minority groups, because who's not safe in a dystopian society?
Hmm.
Poor people and minorities,
Hmm.
um, your working class, things like that.
Yep.
And that's where it started. Like, those were the people first picked, and that is exactly how that would happen.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think that this book shies away from that.
Yeah.
It was awful,
Yeah.
and
Why she made it hit a little too hard? Like,
I was like, yeah, no, I could see this. If they could profit while also getting rid of the class of humans that they hate the most,
yeah.
absolutely, they would
Yeah.
justify this happening.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. This
Yeah.
would, here we go. Yeah.
Here
I
we
was like,
go.
unfortunately, it just really, oh, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And yeah. But also, let's continue talking about the relationship that he has with Jasmine, because that was fucked up.
Okay. Yes. So at first he just keeps Jasmine in like a little barn outside. And he feeds her like some rice and some water. They're not clothed. They cut their tongues out so they can't talk, by the way. And she is terrified
Oh
of
yeah,
people. When she gets dropped off at his house, he like walks towards her and she like pisses herself. Like, and it makes sense because coming up to that point, they tell you how like they're herded and how they're treated in the facility, and it's oh god.
the people that
Anyway,
support this really like to emphasize the fact that these are not people,
yes.
but they are.
They are people. Oh god, it's so sick. Um, so he eventually moves Jasmine into his house, and she gets like her own little room, but doesn't I don't
That's
he
after. That's after he laid next to her in the barn and had sex with her.
Okay, that's
Not
true.
with her. I'm
Yes.
sorry. He raped her because
He
she
raped
can't give
her.
consent.
Right. Yeah, no. Yeah. So I missed a very important part. Yes, he raped her in the barn and then moved her into the
Which is
house.
a huge no-no. Like, if they find out that you are screwing your meat, essentially, they treat it like, which, of course, because the meat, they can't consent. But, God, it's
Yeah,
just wild.
it is fucking
It's
nuts.
wild.
But anyway, of course she gets pregnant. So Jasmine is pregnant with this man's child,
Which was,
and
ugh.
it, okay, so
She
in
can't even
this,
comprehend the fact that she's pregnant. Well, no, I guess she could. Can't she?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
I
she
don't know what they
can.
know. I don't know what they know.
But she doesn't understand, like, how it happened.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
That's just awful.
Dude, I want to say she's like 18.
Oh,
She's not very old.
probably. No.
Yeah, no, she's like 18. And but with this, so for the women who are artificially inseminated in the facility, they cut off their arms and legs.
I
So they
forgot
have
about that.
no
Yeah, they
limbs.
sure do.
They have no limbs and they are
Because they
pregnant,
get
so they won't.
violent when you try to take their babies. Okay, so yeah, never mind.
Yes.
I couldn't remember.
Yes.
I was like, are they comprehend? Yeah, they comprehend that they're pregnant.
Yeah. And so, like, the image of a pregnant woman with no limbs just sitting there on a table is burned into my mind. Like, that is, I
think
have
about
never.
all the animals that we rip away their babies from them.
You know, cows are so intelligent, and they are emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
Oh my God, don't get me started on cows.
We act like animals are not sentient. We act
Yes.
like other living creatures are not. Do you know mushrooms know they're going to die?
No.
Yes.
I didn't know
mushrooms know that they're going to die. We treat all living things other than ourselves and like our pet dogs, which some people, of course, you know. But we treat things like they're not sentient and that they're not intelligent just because we view them as less than to us. Yeah. And I feel like this book really kind of drove home that perspective. And it really kind of like hurt my heart. I was like, man, we really just kind of annihilate all living things around us because we don't think anything of it.
And we're so greedy.
We're so greedy. So really much so that somebody wants to make money off of eating humans.
Yes.
They're like, man, can't lose my meat business.
Yeah, and they just really push the point of greed. They really get that point across of how fucking greedy people are. There's a part in this book where they're like transporting all of these people to the facility to get slaughtered or something, and like the truck falls over and like the people are like crawling out of the truck, like trying to escape and run away. And there are these people called scavengers that wait around the facility, I guess, and they are like taking these people trying to run for their lives and killing them out there. It's like a battlefield out there where these
because they're poor.
Because they're poor, and it's
fuck poor people. We hate them.
Yeah, and so you know it's the poor in the lower class that are in the facilities, and the poor in the lower class who are having to scavenge like that for something to eat. And it is just so icky.
This whole novel is definitely a metaphor for the political exploitation of neoliberal capitalism.
Okay, yeah.
So,
yeah, no, that fits. That tracks.
And it's just, you know. It made me mad, but I think that it as it should. Like, the book made me mad. I was just, like, very disappointed and angry. I think that it also drives home a really good example of the downside of consumerism. Like, this is really what, like, where consumerism will drive people, for sure. Like, you will do some crazy shit. Like, things can be justified all in the name of consumerism, you know? Yeah. I didn't want to eat meat after reading this, but I was like, no, like I said, you know, animals eat animals, we can eat animals, but the excessive nature in which we do. Wow.
Yeah. And it gave a lot of insight. Not like I haven't seen any of the PETA videos that people take in secret and then just like post on their
PETA's
website.
such
I
a
have.
freaking
Oh my
nightmare, though.
God.
God, somebody needs to put them down. Like, quit. They're not helping the cause. Like, they're not helpful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's not
Um,
helping.
yeah. But it was indeed very thought provoking. Um, and it kind of like made me, not that I don't already put myself, not that I can't, I was just picturing myself in that situation. You know what I'm saying?
First of all,
I
no, I would not eat. I'm not eating people. That's disgusting. I don't
Yeah.
even know how they got it to a point where they could, because there's like, so I guess something happens, where like you get like weird like sores or like a rash and shit if you eat people. Like you know
Oh,
when
like
somebody's,
actually.
yes, like there's a way to tell if people like are eating humans. Like you get like weird like rash and like, because it's bad for you. You don't eat people. Okay, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
It's super bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they got it to a point where it was like safe to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah,
eat some
good.
fucking tofu at that point. Jesus.
I know. And the way that, okay, so there was a commercial and it was like, the American dream, typical family commercial. And they're like, this woman is like bringing like a plate of meat to the table. And just like, she goes, "This is special meat. It's the
Oh
best meat
God.
ever. Oh my God, delicious. Eat this meat." And it's literally
Barbaric.
fucking, it's a person on that plate. And there was another part where they were in the facility and I want to say it was El Gringo who they were in where like they keep them and he took a tool and like put it up against a person's arm and it like took a chunk of meat out and they tried the meat fresh right off the person. No kicking, nothing of that sort. But they do keep them vaccinated. If nothing else, they keep them vaccinated. So anyway,
Well, at least at least they get their shots, I guess.
at least they get their
Uh,
shots.
Yo. So I told my friend, I was like, I think you might be interested in this, and so she got the audiobook, and she got to like, I think it's part 2 where you find out that Jasmine's pregnant, and she's like, I have to take a break. That's really fucked up. And I was like, yeah, no, it definitely, it's, yeah, it hurts. It hurts to
It
read.
does. It does.
So Jasmine's like, he gets the girl pregnant, he keeps her in his house, and he's like trying to hide her. Oh, I'm side note because it's semi related. I cannot stand his sister.
Oh my God. His sister is so overbearing,
I
so
hate
fucking annoying,
him.
this
Like
woman.
he's a piece of shit. But like she's awful. Like the way that she justifies eating meat, I'm like, "Oh, I cannot stand you."
Mm.
She's just like, "We're not cannibals." And yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
And
Yeah.
they like, what is it? Doesn't it get to a point where they like can buy the head to like keep around the house or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they do, and then like, is that the one? It's her husband that's fucking the head as well,
Yeah.
and he gets in trouble,
He gets in trouble.
right? Or was it
They get
somebody that they
sent.
knew? It was, I think it was her husband. Um,
If they get caught, they get sent to the slaughterhouse themselves.
yeah.
Um,
No, thank
and
you.
yeah,
The slaughterhouse is gruesome. That's awful.
slaughterhouse is gruesome. So there's a slaughterhouse. There's
Horrible.
also this thing called the tannery, which is I still don't understand the purpose of the tannery to
They
this
take their
point.
skin.
Like they skin them, that's it.
I think that's what that was. Yeah, because that's pretty sure it's where they take the skin and they like use it for products and stuff. Because you can't use any sort of animal products anymore. So, girl, where are you getting leather? where we get
Oh,
where you know
you know, you you know.
these gals' purses are human flesh
Yeah, they're walking around.
at this point.
Yeah,
Disgusting.
disgusting.
I got the latest Marc Jacobs torso bag. Disgusting.
You were so right for that. I'm sorry,
Give me
Rocky.
like a toe belt or something.
Toe belt. That's disgusting.
Oh my god. At
Um,
one point, his wife finally checks on him. Hate her too. I hated everybody in this book. Um, I think the ending is just what a cherry
okay.
on top.
So I think it's important that we discuss the puppies because
Oh,
that
the
has it
puppies.
has a direct impact on the ending.
It
Truly, it does. That
does.
was a turning point for him. So there was this abandoned zoo that his mom used to take him to when he was a kid, and it's abandoned because animals, whatever. And he goes there just for the nostalgia, and he finds a litter of puppies there, and they're just little baby puppies. And he visits them, you know, and one day he sees that there's like a couple boys out there, and they're like beating the fuck out of these. Oh God, it was
I
so
hated
hard
that.
to
I
read.
hated that so much. Oh my god.
They were
I had to
hurting these
skip over
poor
that.
puppies.
Did you read it and
I
then go hug your dog immediately?
I did. I had to read it, but it was so hard to read. I cannot take animal cruelty in the least. I cannot do it. Um, so he is watching these boys beat these puppies, and that just flipped a switch in this man's brain. Um, is it okay if we get to the ending right now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah,
not a long book.
it's not. It's
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 so
literally
short.
it's like 209 pages.
Yeah.
But so he gets home one day, and it's after Jasmine gives birth to the baby. So Jasmine gives birth to the baby. He comes home one day and just like fucking kills her. Jasmine.
No. I thought it was his wife.
That killed Jasmine?
No, remember, okay, so his wife comes home. His wife finds
Oh my
her.
god, unannounced.
Yeah. And then he's like, she finds the baby. They're like, oh shit. And remember, they
Oh
lost theirs.
yes.
So
Yes.
they like cuss and discuss. And he kills Jasmine and
Hmm.
keeps the baby.
Yes.
So
Him and his wife keep the baby.
they
Hmm.
replaced their own baby. I Oh, that was fucked. I hated that.
He so they literally conspired to keep Jasmine's baby, kill Jasmine, kept the baby. And he said, it was one of the last lines of the book. He goes, "She had a human look of a domesticated animal." And that was like, that gave me kind
That's
of
where
like,
I think his mentality starts to change and he starts to like view them as animals.
yeah, okay, so I looked up like the explanation of the ending because I had what a wild ride that ending was. And someone on Reddit said that he killed Jasmine, I guess to like spare her from being tortured. Do you believe that? Because really, after what we had just talked about, I don't think that she did. I don't think it was to spare
No.
her from that
No.
life. It was simply
No, it was
because
for their own selfish gain.
it was for their
100%.
yes. And Marcus never he seems like a good guy, but like his relationship with like his wife and his internalized um turmoil, it all I don't know. He made me think that maybe he was different. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I feel like it for us. a good portion of the book you feel like he's the good guy.
Yes.
But he's not, and I
No.
definitely not after he like rapes her.
Uh-huh.
But even then, I think he still feels not as bad as everybody else, but he absolutely is. And then towards the end, like, you can kind of tell that his mentality is starting to change, and I don't know, it just reminded me of, like, I feel like we live in a world where everybody's trying to exploit somebody. You
Mhm.
know, and I'm not saying that that's the whole intention of this book, but, like, that's just what it reminded me of. Like, he definitely, at the end, basically just exploited that person.
Mhm.
And we just take what we need from somebody for our own gain. And
Mhm.
I just hated that.
Yeah. So in the end, he was really no different than anyone else in that book.
No.
Which, it was just, he really had me going there just because of the way he used to struggle with using the correct the correct terminology. Man, it was so hard to read, especially for someone who loves animals as much as I do. Me and Casey both love animals, so it was just, it was a really good read though. It really was.
Look who's in here.
Me.
She's mad because
Oh,
she asked to come in here, and now she's mad that the door's shut. She just wants the door open. She doesn't
dude, she's
actually.
wide.
I
She's
know.
wide.
She just ate dinner, too. That's not an excuse. She
Oh.
is a wide load. I,
Me's a
I don't know.
me.
She just is. She just doesn't. She won't do anything. She's very lazy.
Yeah,
So,
well, I
but
get it.
Here's a girl. She's like, I want it in here, and now the door's shut, and I'm mad.
Dude, she's so funny.
She's so fat.
We love
Um,
Mila.
but yeah, I'd be curious to know, like, anybody else that's read this or is interested in this. Like, my favorite thing about the dystopian genre is I always ask myself, I'm like, is this something I could see happening?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Um,
Me too.
is this something that, like, as a reader, to anybody that might read this book, like, is this something that you could see happening? For me personally, yeah, and
Yeah.
I hate to say that, and I hate that that's how I feel. But I feel like, yeah, I could see this happening.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
it- you know, not
I get
unlike,
it.
it also kind of makes me think about, like, The Handmaid's Tale, which, like, had you asked me, like, 8 years ago, I would have told you, no way, The Handmaid's Tale would never happen. Like, hopefully that won't
Hmm.
happen.
Hmm.
But it does happen. Like, that is the problem. It is currently happening, but
Yes.
to minorities slash, which I need to be better and call it global majority, because that's actually what that group is. It's the global
Hmm.
majority.
Yeah.
But that does happen. Like, those scenarios do happen.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and
No,
if
this.
humans of power are already doing horrible things,
Hmm.
so I just don't. And propaganda's a powerful tool. People will
Yes.
believe anything.
Yes.
So I could see this happening. I
Hmm.
really and I hope, obviously, I hope that never ever happens, but
Yeah,
I
but
could
like,
see it.
why did she execute it so well that I believe this. Like,
No, the whole time
this,
I think I was shaking my head the entire time I was reading
for
this. I was
real.
like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
unfortunately.
because there are people like that in this world. And
Yeah.
it's just, it is so scary, the world that we live in. And this book, really kind of shed light on that, kind of how disgusting it
I mean,
is.
I feel
How,
really bad for, like, the meat industry, cuz I mean, I know it's awful. Like, I have, like, an idea of how animals are treated, and I hate it. Like,
hmm.
I do my best to, like, I don't eat meat with every meal, cuz that's excessive.
Yeah, it's true.
I definitely, I try to balance out how much animal products I take in.
Hmm.
Because, like, you should find a balance. Like, you should not be intaking animal products, like, constantly. You don't need to.
Hmm.
Um, but, like, just the excessive amount of shit, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate the mass production of it, and I think that this really shed light on that. I'm like, man, imagine if those were people. But also, like, this would happen. They would do this to people.
Except this happens to animals. Like, this is
It
actually
does. It does
happening.
happen to animals, yeah. So there's just so much to take away from this book. I really appreciated it. I was
Yes.
like,
Oh my
yeah,
God. Me
there's a lot
too.
to take away, because
Yeah.
um, and it was really well written. I really liked it.
Hmm.
Such a good
Very
job.
well written.
Uh,
Yeah. She really proved it. She got her point across. Simply, if nothing
and
else.
every time you read a dystopian novel, who's affected and who's always going to be affected? It's those that are not
Hmm.
your 1%.
Hmm.
It's literally everyone but your
Yeah.
1% and your, you know, ruling class, essentially.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that that's something that, like, people really need to think about, because it's not. I know that these books sound far-fetched, but they are not far-fetched.
Not really.
And there are
No.
little things that can happen that unravel to crazy scenarios like this
Hmm.
unfolding, you know? Um, so I just, yeah, it makes me sad, because
Hmm.
there's a lot. There's a lot to take from it. That's all I have to say. What a book.
Yes.
It's
What a book.
definitely in my top 10
I agree with
of
that.
all time. Like, it definitely bumped its way there.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, I'm not huge on dystopian genres, but because they really upset me. But
Yeah.
this one's a top 10. It's so well written, and I love all that you can take from it. So,
Yes. I
highly
really,
recommend,
really
but
liked it.
it's nauseating.
Yes. Definitely not for everyone though, for real.
No.
Um, but yeah, major trigger warnings on this one. I don't think I even checked the trigger warnings on this before I read it. I was just like, oh, it's cannibalism.
I
Nothing more,
think
nothing
I'm, like,
less. There was a lot.
so
There's
numb.
a lot more, a lot less.
I feel like I've been desensitized to a lot of things. I was also aware of that when I was reading this. Like, I'm not, like, the gory parts of it, I can kind of just, like, get past. Like, it doesn't, that's not what
Hmm.
shakes me. It's just the overall treatment. Like, I don't know. Like, the big picture is what bothers me. It's not so much, like,
Yes.
the parts that are, like, gory and stuff. Like, you know, I'll get
Mhm.
past that just fine. But, like, the overall picture is what's the unsettling part.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm. Yeah, she
yeah.
did a good job with this one. I very, very much enjoyed
10 out
this.
of 10.
One of my favorite finds.
It's a 10 out of
And
10.
the top.
I really liked it. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I'm glad we talked about this one. I do want more people to read it, because I definitely would love to hear other people's opinions on this one.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
I love to discuss.
other than, because, like, the only, like, videos I come across on this one are like, oh my god, it's so bloody and gory, you're not ready. And I'm like, okay, but I want to, like, what are your thoughts on, like, the overall topic? Like,
Right.
I
Right.
want to know. What are
Other
we?
than the gore, what are your thoughts on
Yeah, like, other than the
the?
fact that I know it's disgusting, but, like, what are your thoughts on it? Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have anything else really to say about it. Do you?
Me either. No, I
Okay.
mean it's a pretty quick read. There's
Yeah.
just, those really important plot points we discussed there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, tender is the flesh.
I don't know what we're discussing next week, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll figure it out.
But this was a good topic. It was a good one. Not smutty at
Yeah.
all. Just
No smut. No smut.
Depressing.
We'll have to see what we do, but we're trying to get for like the weirder ones, the freaky ones, because they're fun.
I don't know. Are we feeling Bigfoot erotica? Because my interest is piqued.
Oh my God, Casey. What was that
What's on?
thing? What was it called? The
It's
Bigfoot porn?
Seduced by Bigfoot. There's dinosaur one too. I forgot the name of it, but oh my god.
Oh my God, seduced by Bigfoot.
Seduced by Bigfoot.
You know,
But it's just a picture of King Kong on the front, so I don't really know what to think about that.
we might not. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll find something
We'll have
good.
to see.
But yeah, anyway, thank you for joining us and thank you for listening. We will return next week with something
It's
fun.
a surprise.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
We'll find something for you guys. But yeah, thank you so much. See you guys next week.
Thank you. Bye.